accepting, never judging. Mr. President, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Oh, to be accepted as the person you are, or to know. How many of us would like that? I don't know. Anyway, I'm the youngest of 4 children, and I grew up in a typical housing estate in the south side of Dublin. There were lots of kids in the estate, and shops were in walking distance. But like a typical estate built in the 50s, there were very little amenities for us kids. We had a big field in the shape of a semicircle. There was a lane around the archway, and there was a road along the straight side. We also had a gym. When you walked out my gate, and walked the end of the road, which was a mere 4 houses away, there was a corner house, and opposite that was Mr. O's house. His was one of the houses that backed onto the laneway around this field. He had 5 children, and the youngest lad was my age. Now that's not what made him the gem. His priceless quality was in what he did for us kids. This small, quiet, unassuming man, in the afternoon, would open up his garage, which was 10 by 12 feet. It was in the days when safety and health regulations weren't an issue. And just as well, because a lot of kids in the area would be seen on a daily basis, if not weekly basis, in this man's garage. There was always something to do. A table tennis table would be in the middle of the floor, and we'd all wait our turn to play table tennis. It was the type of table tennis where you could fold it up and push it to the sidewall and give space for other games. There would be board games, card games. There was a dartboard in one of the corners. And twice a week, the gym mat would be rolled out, and we'd do some tumbles on the gym mat. It's a place where there's always something to do. One summer, Mr. O'Byrne had the older kids paint the garage. Now, he was a painter, so he had a lot of paint tins that he wanted to use up. So the older kids painted the inside of the garage pale blue. The rest of us kids, because I was only a youngster at the time, we put our prints, literally our stamp, on the garage. The different tins of paint would come out. And to be a rainbow colour all around the garage of our handprints. It was a spectacle because it was our garage. It was our community centre, 10 by 12 feet. And there was always something to be done in this garage. Now, at the weekends, this garage was transformed. At the weekends, complete with disco ball and lights. This was Bob's Disco. And it was a disco to rival any in the area. The evening was divided in 2. The under 12s had the floor until 8:30. And then they left for the evening. And 8:30 to 10:30, the over 12s had the floor. Now, it was back in the day when dance routines were all the rage. Do you remember dancing to ABBA? One sticks in my mind like Night Fever by the Bee Gees. You know, during the week, we'd all be at each other's houses practicing our steps and getting our dance routines off. And then we'd turn up to Bob's Disco on a Saturday evening, all dressed and matching dresses as well. We felt like disco queens. When the DJ would play our requested song, we would take to the dance floor, and we felt like we were the best. Now, Sundays weren't off limits either at Mr. O'Byrne. You wouldn't turn up too early because Mrs. O would come to the door and we'd have to skedaddle. But we'd turn up around 11:30 after 10:30 Mass, when Mr. O would drive Mrs. O home after Mass. She'd get out, and about 6 of us would bundle into the car, and he'd take us off swimming. Summer holidays, we were at the garage again, and Mr. O took activities out to the field, where he'd organise football games, rounders, track events. He organised a sports day. Every child was made to feel special. Every child won a prize. At the end of the summer, Mr. O organised a big double-decker bus that would pull up at the garage, 7 o'clock in the morning. We'd all pile on and be transported to Buckland for a day. We loved it. It was fantastic. Now, the garage was bursting at the seams, and Mr. O organised a very small extension to this garage. It was big enough to house his armchair, a fire, and a table around which probably 6 of us could squeeze, and it was a squeeze. But in here was a hub of activity. He would teach us card games, one that sticks in my mind and is a favourite even now, is Dom. We could while away many winter's night playing Dom all night. Or we'd turn up and he'd help produce this jigsaw puzzle. So that would keep us all busy in the corner on the table, putting it together, while he sat in his armchair, smoking his pipe, always accepting, never judging. Thank you.